Before we begin this podcast, just want to apologize for the audio quality. It was my first time using this setup, and I hadn't had it quite fine-tuned. I had the gain too high on the microphone, so there's a little bit of a reverb. Hope that doesn't affect it too much, but there's a lot of good information in this podcast, so please enjoy as we talk boat finance. And I promise the future podcasts, because you've already listened to a couple of them that just came out before this one, but I actually edited after this one. This problem will not continue in the future. But again, please enjoy. Welcome to the Doodles Podcast. This is the show where we sit down with other sailors, cruisers, and even people not in the marine industry and talk about things. So let's get right into it. All right, welcome to the Sailing Doodles Podcast. Today we are talking boat finance with Zack and Greta.
Hey guys.
How are you guys doing today?
All right, so guys, I met you in Puerto Rico at the boat show a couple years ago now, right?
That was actually the first time was the boat show of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Over in Fajardo with your boat that you had at the time.
Right, yeah, the rough seas, yeah.
Really bad things happened shortly thereafter.
It wasn't too long. Yeah, we lost it in a hurricane, so that's all right. Anyway, I ended up giving that away, but it was a lot of fun meeting you guys down there. And
Absolutely. We love the doodles here.
Well, it's kind of fun. I just, we really just like the whole thing of watching all the changes and moving around all over the place. I mean, who else goes and does all the way to Seattle down to Thailand?
Well, hey, it was a lot of work, but hey, got it done. But hey, by the way, cheers to you. They brought over some gin, so
you got to break the boat in, guys. You can't see the interior of the boat. What a beautiful boat!
Yeah, it is pretty nice. All right, so you've got you're basically doing yacht finance brokerage,
right?
And so how does that industry basically? Is it like a home ownership type stuff brokerage?
It's sort of similar. The biggest difference is that there are just a lot of challenges. Boats move and bad things happen sometimes, and a little bit different than home ownership. A lot of the things are kind of similar, though. We have people doing all kinds of different things. We have guys getting a little 25-foot boats, first boat they've ever had. We just did one last month, which was a 67-foot custom build. I can't mention the name of the boat, but it's a one-year build, gorgeous boat.
Yeah.
And everybody's the same, though. Everybody wants to go have some fun on the water,
right?
Live out their dreams, and that's what we do is try to help. And Greta is such a key piece of that, too, because she's I spend a lot of day on the computer, but she's the one that makes it all work.
So you're the kind of the face of it, and he does the hard work, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, both of us. Some people like to talk to him, some people like to talk to me a little bit more, and
everybody likes to talk to you.
especially our clients from Puerto Rico, because of course Spanish is their first language, and
right.
They feel more comfortable speaking Spanish. So hablo español.
And that's probably
that's probably the reason that I talk to most of the clients, because they're fluent, but at the same time they feel more comfortable in their own language, and it also dealing with a different mentality, different culture. I think that fits me a little bit more than that same. But we both really work really hard on this.
Okay, great. So how is the whole process work? Is it, what is it 20% down? Is it 5% down? How do you do this?
It all depends where is the loan going to take place. In the United States, we have from 10 to 20% down. In Puerto Rico, we have 25% down. If you buy an 800 and up, we have 20% down. We have just different levels. We have different requirements that will fit everybody. Mainly, the main thing is to get the application filled out right, because from there we can actually see where we're going.
I tell you the truth, though, I was like, I started with what are my 5 questions, and those are: what kind of boat are you looking at?
Right.
How old is the boat? I mean, we talked about it with this boat.
Yeah.
We do boats up to 30 years old.
Yeah. This one's 30 years old, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
All right.
So, the age of the boat's important. What kind of boat it is. We do a lot of loans that are $150,000 and under, and for somebody with like a 720 credit score, it takes a one-page application, one day to get the app done and finished. And we got the loan approved. The biggest difference is similar to a house in some respects, because in a house, of course, you're going to have some kind of an inspection.
Right.
And on a boat, you can have a survey.
Right.
A survey and sea trial.
Right.
And those are really important, because I see about 1 out of 20 surveys fail. Somebody will look at it, realize not what they thought it was, and realize they've got a real problem to continue forward with it.
Right. That's important too, because I definitely had a survey on this. So there was a few things I knew I was going to have problems with, but it ended up doing okay. But so you have to have a home inspection. So what kind of interest rates are we looking at? Does it vary on the term or what?
Well, it does, and really exciting right now because we just had 2 rate drops. Everybody sees the Fed drop, and what does that mean? The Fed kind of influences boat loans a little bit, but the good news now is that we're down as low as 3.98%, and that's fixed for 20 years.
Okay.
The average person, I would say, though, on something like a $75,000 to $100,000 boat, which is pretty average, those are still going to be under 4.99, which is fantastic because you can get 15 years on that, 20 years in some cases. And it's so funny online, especially on Facebook, because we participate on a lot of different forums, whether it's catamaran forum or the sailing cruising forum, nicest people in the world. And you have all kinds of different attitudes and all kinds of different questions come up. We just see the same thing time after time. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
So what is some of the misinformation that people, what are some things people get wrong a lot?
A lot of it is they always start with what's the rate, what's the best rate. And it's the wrong question because the real question is, what are you trying to do? Do you want to have a boat that you can go cruise to the South Pacific with? Not many banks can do that.
Right.
Are you going to keep a boat in Puerto Rico? Are you going to do charters on the boat? What's your experience? I've actually seen some people with no experience buy a $400,000 boat.
Right. Yeah.
And they're challenging because, you have captain requirements and that type of thing. So there's just a lot of different things that people are trying to do. You need to ask that up front.
And I think a lot of, and this is a very important question too, a lot of people that are buying boats up to $150,000, they ask themselves, what do I need? Mm-hmm. Do I need an income tax return? What do I need? So we have several types of loans for that particular loan. We have a stated income loan, which you don't need to give us anything. Just tell us how much you make. And then we have, of course, they call underwriting loans. So it all depends of the what the person is trying to do, what is trying to buy.
I think the biggest thing is, especially online, because Facebook is a wonderful world, and you'll just have people say, who do you like for loans? And somebody will say SunTrust or U.S. Bank or BB&T. And we do business with all those. We have 15 different banks. The problem comes in when you get a guy that goes to SunTrust and says to SunTrust, I want to buy a boat. Perfect. And they go through the whole approval process, and then it's time for the insurance, and the insurance will show Puerto Rico. SunTrust doesn't do loans in Puerto Rico, so we reject it. Somebody's got all the time and energy into it, and now they got a rejection there. So the next bank down the line looks at it and says, oh, why'd they reject you? Because obviously they did. It shows up on your credit report.
Right.
And if you talk to somebody, I tell everybody, we're brokers. We do a really good job. We really try to do a good job for clients. There's a lot of other guys on the forums too that all their names. Nick and Brian, a few other guys. If you've been around this business for a while, you're good at it. Find a good broker that you trust.
Somebody you like.
Yeah, somebody you like. Because it's a process that sometimes is real easy, and man, sometimes it's just tough. You got to ask a lot of questions. You got to really work hard on some deals, and you got to have people patient with you, willing to work through the process.
So there are restrictions, like if I had traditionally financed this boat, would there be with the limitations? I could not take it to the South Pacific, or it has to be in the paperwork.
With most banks, I've got to be a little vague. We got a very large, gorgeous sailboat that we're about to do, a 70-footer, older boat, about over 20 years old. And that particular boat, the first question is, where are you going to keep the boat?
Right.
Because on boats that old, there are about 4 banks that can do it. There are about 2 banks that can do it if it's out of U.S. waters. Mm-hmm. And it even goes further than that. There's some new programs coming up that are incredibly exciting for super yachts, $3.5 million to $25 million. That'll be for non-U.S. citizens. That's a game changer. Yeah. And that's still under development at this point.
So that program is for people who actually don't have any ties to the United States, mm-hmm. and they want to bring the boat to their homeland. So let's say, they're looking at $50 million yacht. We can finance 50% of that. They're looking at $6 million yacht. We can finance.
We know people like that. Not many of them are our friends, so we don't get invited out for meetings.
Yeah, I don't get invited to those.
It's very exciting, Bobby. It's very exciting that we also do this for people who are custom built mm-hmm. in their own boat. We have another program for that too, which Zack can talk about.
So you do custom built, so if I if I build my own boat, or is like I have it built, or what do you mean?
Yeah, here's the problem. Let's say you're building we're talking nice boats here. You're building a boat, maybe even $1 million boat. And they have this thing called progress payments, where you get some of the small builders and larger ones. If you do encounter custom boats, like a custom house, you got to pay as you go.
Right.
And the problem is how you do it, because not many banks. We worked for 1.5 years with banks to get them to be able to develop the program and help them through the process of understanding it. And now we've got a couple of partners on that do a great job. So how it works is somebody, for example, would put 35% down. They take care of the first piece of it. The inspection is done on the boat, and then you get regular inspections going through the process. Okay. And then the bank makes those progress payments through it. At the end of it, they do the takeout financing. You're off and rolling with a permanent loan.
Okay.
And that's a big one. It's been something that's been really tough to do in this industry for a long, long time.
All right, so what is the, what is your average customer? I mean, how much are they financing, and where? I mean, what are they doing with the boat?
We've got them all. It's like last month, our average, we do about $35 million a year right now in loans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that last month is so typical of that. We did a $50,000 boat. We did a $3.4 million boat. When I say boat, I mean loan.
Loan.
And
so the prices are higher than that.
Yeah, right.
So there's not so much a typical. We'll do a couple of small ones a month. We'll do a couple of big ones a month. I'd say our average is probably $300,000 to $500,000.
Yeah, I was going to say that $300,000 to $500,000. Yeah.
And are most of these they're I mean, it's like this is my home now. This boat.
Yeah.
I mean, is it mostly people's like kind of a second home type thing, or what are they doing with it?
It's always a second home because liveaboards are very challenging.
Oh, really? Is that it's hard to get one
It's
financed?
hard to get financed. You have to have an address, a stable address, in order to get financed, because banks don't want to finance if it's going to be your primary home. So
why do they not want it? Why?
Because a boat, loans for a boat is a luxury.
Okay.
Loan.
The other part is it's just got to do with the legalistic thing of how banks work. And on a boat loan is something, or a boat is something that if they need to, they can go repossess the boat. To be honest, in 7 years, I've never had it happen. I've got some great clients. We just don't have it happen in our business.
So they just want to know where they can repossess it, basically, if it gets to that point.
The rules are different.
And also because of insurance, matters, they don't want to know that they are financing a boat that is going to be a primary home. I mean, this is your home practically right now, but you own it outright. Mm-hmm. So that's a different story.
I personally think it's a weird rule, but it's a rule. Yeah. It's kind of like people say sometimes, why do banks do this? I'm going, I don't know, but they just do.
So what kind of, income to debt to income ratio or a credit score? Or, I mean, like
I said, if you're going to buy a boat up to $150,000, we might not need to prove any income. You just tell me how much you make.
Oh, really?
And I believe you.
All right.
Let me be a little more specific.
Okay.
It's a stated income works really well for somebody that has a business. Let's say a guy's got a construction company.
Yeah.
He makes $500,000 in the construction company. He writes off his cars. He writes off his phones. He writes off everything in the world, and he doesn't pay himself a lot. He might pay himself $70,000, $80,000.
Right.
Can't get a $150,000 loan with that.
Right.
But he can say, I make $150,000 a year. It's a stated income loan.
Right.
And it's by the time you add everything back in, that's probably pretty accurate, actually.
But of course, you have to have good credit, so it proves that it's
So you need generally not to have to deal with any of the other crap, but 720.
720 is an easy thing, and that'll get up to it takes you up to about $180,000 boat. So you need about 20% down.
Okay.
I tell you what we see a lot of, and we see this more on cameras than anything else. But you'll have somebody who needs to do a stated income loan. They're buying a $300,000, $350,000 catamaran, but we just can't get them there on the income. Mm-hmm. So they'll get a $150,000 loan. They'll put $150 or $200 down. Done. It meets their needs.
And basically, if for someone who wants to buy a boat, the minimum FICO, the credit score, is 700. So if you have 620, you need to work on that. And we can help people to work on their credit because we do it every day.
Right.
It's just very easy. Sometimes there are things that are reported that are not really accurate.
Right.
And so we tell them it's very easy, just dispute it. You go on Credit Karma, you go on one of those, dispute, you dispute it and you fix it. By fixing your credit, your score goes up. So sometimes people who can buy a boat today, 6 months later, they can't.
Right.
There's some things that are tough, and they do have loans out there that are terrible loans. They're 18% interest for people that have the 620 scores or just had a bankruptcy the year before. I think they're really bad for consumers. We just won't do them,
right?
Because it's just not good for people.
Yeah.
But there's some things you can fix. It's like if somebody has a 680 score, we look at it and go, the guy's got perfect payments, or he had one credit card late. What's wrong with this? What's usually wrong is that they've got just high revolving. The credit cards might be at a 70-80% limit. And they say, but I pay my cards off every month. But what they do is they pay after the card reports.
Right.
So the card report's high, knocks their score down by 40, 50, 60 points a lot of times.
Right.
Those are some easy things to fix.
Yeah.
When you make your payments can make a big difference. Yeah. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so what are some of the gotchas then that people get in trouble with on boat loans? I mean, is there
a lot of times really trying to buy too much boat?
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
not
Everybody wants a bigger boat. I mean,
Right, but the maintenance,
Bigger
sometimes they know they can afford the payments, but they don't really calculate how much you have to put into the boat, because it's not just paying for the tank, and it's you have to have that extra maintenance that they don't anticipate.
I've seen your maintenance Mondays. You know how to fix a boat. My personal boat was a 1969 Whitney 45 aft cockpit. It spent 2 years restoring. I could rebuild diesels, electrical, everything.
Yeah.
But still, it was very, very expensive. And a lot of people that have never owned a boat before, but that have sailed on boats but not owned one, they have no idea the difference between, say, a 25-foot boat and a 45-foot boat. It's not twice as much. It's 4 times as much, 5 times as much.
Well, so you got to think, you got to add in where your slip is, and then it's generally insurance is around 2%.
Right, 1.5 to 2. Yeah, it got more expensive after the hurricane.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so so if you're at a $150,000 boat, you put 20% down, so you're financing 120.
Mm-hmm.
So what? And you do it over 20 years. What's your general payment going to be?
Roughly $800 in rough numbers.
Okay, and then you're going to be doing another, somewhere around another $200, a little more, maybe a little more, $200 or $300 a month in insurance at that point. So, and then your slip fee. So you're probably looking at $1,500 to $2,000 a month just to hang on to the boat after.
Yeah, you know what I always tell people, I said, listen, boat's supposed to be a fun thing for you to do. If it's going to be stressful, and you're going to cause more stress in your life, then you better wait a little bit more until you can actually use it for fun purpose.
Right.
And we've just been around this for a while, and we really have seen the good, the bad, and the really ugly. And we just tell people, start with something that makes sense to you, because just because you can afford the $400,000 boat for you, it's just like aircraft.
Right.
This old doctor problem with aircraft. Okay, you might be able to afford a $400,000 boat. You might be able to get insurance on it, and then you do the minimum, which is get a captain on board for 30 days. Okay, that's all good until you get 100 miles out from shore and you got bad fuel and you shake it up in the tank and you foul out your diesels. How do you clear the lines? How do you clear the injectors?
Yeah.
And those are some things that you just got to learn through experience. And we try to give people kind of reality checks sometimes.
And also comparable price boat, because some people, the highest grade that they have had in their lives is $200,000, and then all of a sudden they want to buy $1 million boat. So the banks look at that and it's like, no, you need to build your credit up.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, if you've you kind of see that. If they have a $100,000 house, they're trying to buy a $500,000 boat. I mean, that's
making sense.
yeah.
Well,
you're down in Florida. You're down in Florida. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on down there.
Welcome to Florida.
Right. So you guys are based in Florida, but you do boats worldwide, basically?
Yeah.
Yes. All the United States and all over the world, and also into languages. Like I said, you hablo español.
Okay, there you go.
I thought 3. What happened to Italiano?
Italian.
Oh, Italian. You speak Italian? Okay. All right. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
But it gets very noisy in our office. I'll be sitting here talking, because I'm kind of a Southern boy. We don't talk real loud and real fast. And then she'll start talking to a client in Espanol, which half her business is Espanol. and it gets really loud and really fast, and it's just.
Well, down there, Puerto Rico. I mean, that's Puerto Rico's where you're from originally, right?
No.
Oh.
Originally, I'm from Peru.
Oh, okay.
But Puerto Rico can be my second home,
Okay.
so I like it better.
Yeah, no. Well, they talk really fast down there.
Oh, they do.
And I mean, like I've tried. My Spanish is not good enough for that.
No, we're down there usually 6 or 7 times a year. Just starting to do some business over in the Dominican Republic. Got some contacts. We'll be over in probably Palma, Spain during the spring for a show. And then follow up again with probably Monaco after that.
Yeah.
Oh, Monaco.
Yeah.
So we're, like I said, very exciting because now we can do loans all over the world, which before we were only limited to the United States and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So now we can go everywhere.
All right. So what are you said the 5 things are, what were you saying?
Probably the 5 things are how old is a boat?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of boat is it?
Right.
What's your credit score?
Right.
And what do you want to do with the boat?
Yeah.
And number 5 is whatever comes out of the first 4 questions, I usually have another 2.
Okay. All right. So people have to consider all that. So now, if people are interested in doing that, how can they get a hold of you guys, or what's going on?
And also very important, Bobby, very, very important. People who are going directly to the banks, just please don't, because you're going to go to one bank. They might do it, they might not do it. You want to go to a broker where we're going to shop. We're going to shop around and we're going to find the best rate, and we're going to find a bank that actually it meets the requirements, that you meet the requirements that that bank, ask for. So make sure that you find a broker, and if you like us, here we are.
Well, I imagine, that is true. Like you said, if you're going to a bank, because a lot of banks, they may do it, but it's complicated, and you got to probably jump through a lot more hoops than you'd have to. But then every time you go to that bank and they turn you down, that's another credit hit.
Exactly.
And so that looks bad.
Yeah,
It has to do the job. It is to the work.
my whole thing is if you've got a guy who's a physician, makes $500,000 a year, he's got an 800 credit score, he's buying a $300,000 boat, he's got a $600,000 house, anybody can do that deal. We have 15 banks, they all can do that deal.
Right.
All day long.
The real challenge is spending time to figure out, there are times we'll have 4 or 5 conversations with somebody, and then all of a sudden we'll part of this too, we're in 2 languages. Part of this will be found like, oh, now I understand what you do, where your money comes from, and I understand what the problem is. And you got to find a broker, whether us or somebody else, but find somebody to take the time to dig into it.
Yes, and that's something very important that makes us special, is that we answer the phone 7 days a week. And from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, if you call us, we actually answer the phone.
Well, no, I've texted you at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night before asking him a question. And next thing you know, he's calling me back. He's like, hey, I'm at dinner, but I want to talk to you about it.
Oh, well, after 10 o'clock at night, you get what you get.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, as far as getting hold of us, easiest way, cell phones, well, first, on Facebook, you'll see both of us on Facebook, a lot of presence on there, and a lot of the different groups. But mainly just make it direct. Give us a phone call. That's Greta and I are together all the time, 941-961-9477.
941-536-3866.
My best is she's going to get twice as many phone calls. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I understand. And so I'll put links in the show notes too, down below to email or whatever you want to do as well.
Yeah.
Phone.
Guys, the main thing I'm going to tell you is this is supposed to be fun.
Right.
And it is a process. Sometimes seems like a long process, but we have fun. We've got great clients. We've got great friends all over the world now. And we enjoy this. We cannot believe we get paid to get up and do this.
Yeah, there you go.
It's about like you, man. It's like,
hey.
Is this the best job in the world?
It is a pretty nice job. So, all right. Well, is there anything else we need to talk about, or does anybody know?
I think that's just about covered 95% of what we know.
941-966-9477.
There you go.
941-536-3866.
All right. There'll be links in the show notes. So, cheers, guys. Thanks for coming by.
Cheers.
There you go. All right. There you go. All right. And thank you guys for watching another podcast, or if you're listening to it, you can find it on any of your podcast providers or on YouTube. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you guys for listening and watching another Doodles podcast. I hope you found this informative. This channel is made possible by our patrons. It's patreon.com/sailingdoodles. Gives you early access to these and really helps us to continue to do this, reinvest in the more camera gear and audio gear that we have to make these better podcasts. And I promise the next podcast will not have the reverb. So thank you again, guys, and we really appreciate it.